Hello everybody, I am just putting the last little bit of details here. Let me just pull that down and we'll get started directly. Let me click on the chat. Pop that out. Okay. Now let me kill that window, minimize this one, and put the questions right there. Okay. My phone over there so it doesn't distract me, and we'll get going. Welcome to another episode of the ChurchTechCast question and answer show. I've got plenty of questions that I'm going to be answering on this show. If you'd like to join the conversation, feel free to drop me a line, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com, or give me a voicemail at 1-877-763-3246. In case you didn't get that, that's 1-877-POD-ECHO to echo back. And you could also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. But let me just give you those two right now. Head over to my website, trinitydigitalmedia.com, if you want to make comments or anything like that. So let's get started with the questions, because I've got a bunch of them here. And yeah, so on the Church Tech Leaders Forum, which is at ctl.onthecity.com, Stephen Peterson asked, "We are looking to rebuild our video transmission system carrying live video from our auditorium to our chapel. Currently, we have a standard definition projector in our chapel feeding off of a composite signal delivered over Cat5 wire. We were initially looking at running an SDI line, but are now wondering if we could sufficiently deliver the video over Cat5 or Cat6 line at a much lower cost. The projector does have a DVI input, but only accepts the RGB color space. The distance is around 360 feet, probably under, I believe. Any suggestions?" So I wrote him and told him that if you've got Cat5, you can use a Balun to deliver VGA, DVI, or HDMI. Any of those three. In his case, probably he'd want to use VGA or DVI, as long as you have another way to get the audio over there. Well, as it turns out, he does. So that would be a perfectly permissible solution without running any additional wires. SDI is good. I don't see any problem with using that, but if he wants to keep it as cheap as possible, then Cat5 with Baluns is probably the way to go. You could, if you want to be more future-proof, someone else suggested this, to run fiber optic cable, and then you can send whatever you want, no problem, well into the future. I just don't know if that's something they want to do from a cost perspective, so that's what I would let you know. So Jeremy Dillon over in the Church Tech group on Google Plus said, "Been doing some research today on how Christian ministries can effectively use video sites such as Vine, Flickr, Instagram, etc. to share their gospel. According to statistics, 91% of social media users post selfies, and most platforms consist of funny cat pics. we live in a very visual, short attention span world, but are still asked to preach the word. I enjoy preaching more than anything. I remember one time reading through the Sermon on the Mount in real time and timing it to around 11 minutes. I wonder if evangelism begins here, with more in-depth teaching happening later for those who wish to find out more. Any thoughts? Yeah, so first off, if you're going to do evangelism, let's start out with love. There are more than enough ministries out there preaching condemnation, and I just don't see how it helps at all. It's if telling people how bad they were really worked, then we would have a lot more Christians in the world and a lot fewer people that feel like they were being talked down to. So I think that generally speaking, maybe we should start with loving people. Now, secondly, I think that there is a wide open opportunity. We've seen all the text graphic art out there that we could do things with. We could generate memes that have a positive message and get spread that way. I just think that there's a lot of untapped potential in some of these networks that we really need to spend some time working on. So, good questions, and yeah, let's keep going. I didn't copy down who wrote that. Let's see if I still have that open. I do not. Okay, so I'll skip that one for now. Seth Rieniso, again, on the Church Tech board on Google+. ProPresenter, any competing products? Thanks. Now, after drilling down into his question, we found out that he has two concerns. One is money, which the solution to that is OpenSong, OpenLP. There are free worship software out there. But he also said he doesn't have the time to learn worship software. If that's the case, then the free ones aren't going to help him. And only ProPresenter gets you up to speed from a learning curve perspective as quickly as possible. So I hate saying I don't have a solution, but I really feel like I don't have a solution because ProPresenter is the easiest one out there. It's also an expensive option. I don't like that it's expensive, but the people that program it do need to feed their families. So I think it's worth it. You know, the worker is worth his wages and all. So it's worth it to keep that in mind as you're thinking about the price and go from there. But I just don't know an easier solution than ProPresenter. So I don't think that there is a solution. He's kind of asking for a product that doesn't exist. An easier than ProPresenter solution doesn't exist. That is also cheaper than ProPresenter. But if we go back to the easier than ProPresenter, it doesn't exist. So you can have cheaper than ProPresenter and you pay in time, or you can have ProPresenter and it's easy. There aren't any easier solutions that I've found. I'd be happy to hear about some if there are, but I just don't know of any. So Tim Adams asks, so I was installing a new sound system this week and ran across this homemade quote-unquote shielding and had to snap a picture because I actually have an idea that this would really work. Paul Allen Clifford, any thoughts? Well, first off, thanks Tim for including me in it. It humbles me that you'd think that I'd be the go-to guy on that. I do have some thoughts, though, as you might guess. So the homemade shielding he was showing was aluminum foil with electrical tape wrapped around a snake. That might work. I would expect, though, that like an aluminum screen, like from a screen door, in exactly the same configuration would work better, because you're getting kind of the Faraday cage effect. Now, that's not to say that aluminum foil isn't used in shielding. It is. But so is like braided shielding. So perhaps even both. I mean, that's what they use for coax cable. It's got both a braided shielding, and it's also got a foil shielding around the center conductor. So I don't know. I'm not really an electrical engineer, so I can't give you any more than that. But I think he might be right. It might actually work. Turns out he was saying that the last person that did the install, claimed to have done a lot of stadium installs, and he was kind of dubious of that. And I could see that, given the quality of the shielding. It didn't look like it was professionally done. It looked like it was just thrown together. So, John Lawson on YouTube, talking about not the episode of Technobabble I just recorded, but the one I recorded a week ago, said, "Great thoughts, Paul. What, in your opinion, is the most cost-effective, time-efficient method for stock audio versus originally created audio for use in church video production?" Now, there's actually a couple of things that he could be talking about. I guess he could be talking about voiceover work, which I don't know exactly what I'd recommend there. We normally just use someone with a really great voice. There's 2 or 3 people in our church that have phenomenal voices, including an older African American lady named Mildred, who, when she reads the Bible, you think, I'm pretty sure that's the Holy Spirit's voice. I'm pretty sure that the Holy Spirit sounds like her. I mean, it's great. So, not that we know anything about what the Holy Spirit sounds like audibly. We just know impressions and such on our hearts. But that's what we would use for voiceover work. The other thing is sound effects. Sound effects, I really don't have a good go-to solution. I usually find them one off, so I don't know about that. But for music, what I use is a company called Jewel Beats. And for in-house production that's not on television or anything, all the music is 99 cents a track. And for 99 cents, I'm happy to pay for stock music at 99 cents, knowing that, hey, I'm legally covered. I'm not going to get sued. That's worth $1 to me. That's worth a lot to me. Now, I have to do a little searching to find the right genre, find something that fits, but they've done a decent job of organizing it. So, while if you've got a musician that can just whip out something that works fine, it could be that you'll be able to do that more quickly, but a lot of the times I just go with Jewel Beats and call it a day. They've got free stuff as well, so always check there first. But for 99 cents, it's really a no-brainer in my mind. So I'm not paid by them. That's just one thing that I use. So I'm going to try and find the name of the person who submitted this. But here's the other question, since I went through the ones that I have so quickly. Anyone have any thoughts on how to insert some sort of widget that shows upcoming church events? Ideally, it would be something that our preteen leader could update easily, and the changes would correlate to the widget. I've put it onto her web page. Oh, to the widget I've put onto her web page. There we go, that makes more sense. I'm not that skilled in anything other than a bit of HTML and CSS, but I'm all ears. So, in drilling down again in this comment, we found out that this is an Ezekiel site, so it's going to be non-standard. If he was using WordPress, which he says he's thinking about changing to, so if he does change to WordPress, there is a plugin for WordPress that basically takes your Google Calendar events and slaps them into your WordPress widget area. So when you add a new event, all you do is you add it on your Google Calendar and you're done. And most people can do a Google Calendar. So I think that that's probably the best solution if he was using WordPress. But as he says, he's not. So I don't know. I think it seems like Google Calendar might have an embeddable widget. And if so, you could just copy the HTML from that, put it on there, and that should correlate to a Google Calendar, and she could update the Google Calendar and it have it show up there. So I guess I'd check the Google Calendar page as well and see if there's anything there, because it seems like it is. So check that. I'm checking in the chat room, and it looks like there aren't any questions, so I guess I'll go ahead and wrap this show up for today. If you would like to get your questions answered, just, again, as I say, drop me a line, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com, or a voicemail, 1-877-763-3246. 1-877-POD-ECHO is what that is. So I would love to answer your questions, and I'd love for you to join me next week on the ChurchTechCast.com network. On Monday, we're talking about iTunes for podcasts. On Tuesday, we're talking about the objection to creative church called copying the world. Aren't you guys just copying the world? And we're going to talk about that. Wednesday on Eternity Changers, the roller coaster of starting. And as an aside, I'm writing the Eternity Changers book this month. So today I should hit the halfway point, give or take a couple hundred words. I'm hoping to have it about 50,000 words, and I'm right on track to doing that. So I expect that this next little chunk is going to be difficult since I'm in the middle. And so probably for the next week it'll be hard, and then it'll be smooth sailing down for the last week of the month. Except for the whole Thanksgiving thing, which will make it hard, but I'll try and figure that out. So that is what I'm doing there. Oh, and Thursday we're going to talk about logo design on Technobabble. And again, your questions on Friday. Oh, there is a hangout on the Church Tech group in Google+. There's a hangout at 7 p.m. Eastern that I'm going to be a part of, if I can possibly be a part of it. And so I'd love for you to join and interact. Okay, until next time, go out and change eternity. This is Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.